This is the Bolder Than Most podcast, where we talk with those making bold moves in business, real estate, and life. I'm your host, Trey Jacobs. Thank you for being here. Let's jump right in. All right. Welcome back, guys. Today we have Alec Beardall of High Country Capital Partners. Mr. Alec Beardall, man, how you doing, man? Thanks for being on today.
Dude, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Where are you located? Where are you at?
I'm out of Utah, so I'm about an hour south of Salt Lake.
Okay, all right. So is all of Utah like mountains? Like, is your backyard a mountain range?
Pretty much, yeah. All of Utah from top to bottom is different types of mountains. So yeah, walk out, surrounded. So
it's not bad, man. Do you do a lot of hiking, or what type of activities do you guys have out there?
Yeah, definitely outdoors guy. So a lot of hiking. I'm a big hunter as well, so I'm always up in the mountains. And then in the winters, I'm a snowboarder. So.
Hell yeah, bro. Oh yeah. So how long have you been in the multifamily space?
Yeah, so I'm coming up on three years now. A little over 3 years is how long I've been in it. So
3 years. Wow, man.
Yep.
How old are you?
24.
24. Man, I wish I would have started when I was 21. Shit. That's what's up, bro. What were you doing before multifamily?
Good question. So I've always, kind of been an entrepreneur. So I had a lawn care company that I started when I was about 9. So I've been doing, entrepreneurial stuff for quite a while, but I built that up until my senior year of high school. I actually sold that, right after I graduated. And then I just kind of coasted for a few years. And then I actually found, Multifamily Mindset and went into the multifamily space. So
yeah. How'd you find them?
Yeah, so kind of funny. The founder is actually my cousin. So Tyler's a distant cousin.
Did I know that?
I don't know. I can't remember if we had talked about that or not. But yeah, Tyler's my cousin. So,
okay.
I saw him. He had about the time he moved his family out to Maui was kind of the time I was trying to figure out, the route I wanted to go after high school. And so I reached out to him, found out what he was doing. And, one thing led to another. After a course of about 6 months of, razzing him with questions, he actually invited me to come out, live in Maui, help him, with his company. And then the deal was he also personal mentor me. So that's kind of how I got into the space. But
was it worth it?
For sure. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I'm curious though, right? Like, what was the family dynamic like, right? Like, you have Tyler as a cousin. What are your other cousins? Are they in the business too? Hey guys, my company, Paige Capital Group, is actively sourcing and buying multifamily deals. If you're looking to put your money to work, gain some tax efficiencies, and grow your portfolio while we do all the heavy lifting, go to paigecapitalgroup.com/invest. That's Paige, PAIGE, capitalgroup.com/invest, and someone from our team will reach out. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, a lot of them have gotten in, in some capacity. So Tyler's sister, Melissa, has been in and out of the business. Tiffany is currently involved in the Multifamily Mindset. And then his brother, Michael, is also, Michael actually used to work with us on at High Country Capital Partners. And then he's got a nephew that also has joined the program and is starting to do some multifamily stuff himself. So a lot of family. Obviously me, he got me into it as well. So yeah, I guess we're a multifamily family, if you will. But
gosh, that's a dad joke. Good one.
That's a good dad joke, huh?
So all right, so the High Country Capital Partners, who are the partners in that?
Yeah, so we have kind of, been working through who those partners are. So as of right now, there's only 2 of us. There used to be 5 of us, but we have actually cut back on that. So it is myself, and then it's actually my dad. His name's Tim Beardall. He is my business partner essentially. So he runs everything, on the financial side of things. He's our underwriter, auditor by trade. So he's a big numbers guy. So
that's what's up, man. Shout out to Tim. Do you have like a nickname for your dad?
Dude, his nickname's actually Tom, so I call him Tom. Kind of
What?
so random. Yeah, a little bit of a backstory there with him and my sister, but yeah, his nickname is Tom.
That's funny. My son's name is Bryce, and I call him Bruce all the time because of freaking Apple iPhones autocorrect. I
Yeah,
always type Bryce, and it always turns it to Bruce. So
so Bruce,
he's yeah, so he's Bruce half the time.
that's hilarious.
So
Yeah.
what have you found? Like you started with 5 partners, and now you've kind of scaled back, right? Like
Mhm.
what were the reasons why, and what have you taken away from that, and how are you going to make sure that the next partners that you bring on are good long-term fits for your team?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, it's definitely been a big learning experience. So, all of our partners have, been great people from the beginning. We wouldn't have partnered with them in the beginning if they weren't good people. We just found, so we did a deal down in Dallas, Texas, actually right by where you live.
Yeah.
And we had, so there was myself and Tim. So I focus on finding deals. Tim does all the underwriting. Then we had a second underwriter that was on the team. And then we also had two capital raising slash investor relations guys. So um, after we did that first deal, we just realized we didn't, mesh super well. And in the beginning, there's just not a ton of profits to go around at that point. So, we made a good chunk of money as a company, but after we divvied everything up, it wasn't a ton for the amount of work we did. And
Right.
so we just had to have a hard look on, what we're spending money on, who the partners are, and what they're actually providing to us. And we just ultimately decided that we needed to scale back and maybe take things a little bit slower until we're doing volume of deals where
Yeah.
we can afford that. So
I think it's a smart thing to do. I think a lot of people they kind of get hung up on the partnership aspect of it, when in reality it's just like having a network of people that you can work with if the potential arrives. I think that's super important,
for
especially
sure.
in multifamily. It's a team sport, so I have a couple smaller groups where we're doing just that. We
Yeah,
contribute to each other, but we also um, get from the group just as much. So I think it's really powerful. So
100%.
how has the journey been so far? I mean, 3 years. I think you've done a handful of deals so far.
Mhm. Yeah, we've done a handful of deals. It's been, obviously we want things to go on a faster timeline, but we've seemed to taken the slow and steady approach. So we've bought about 457 units up to this point. We did a 419 unit deal down in Columbia, South Carolina, and then we did a 38 unit deal, which is actually now 39 units there in Dallas, Texas, where you're at. And then we're actually working on another deal down in Tucson, Arizona right now. It's actually another 38 unit deal. So,
Okay.
but yeah,
And
three
so,
deals up to this point.
and have you gone full cycle on any of those?
We have, so our very first deal, that 419 unit deal, we've actually taken full cycle already.
All
So,
right. So how did that go? I'm real curious. Like, what were the projected returns? What were the actual returns?
yeah, so returns were crazy on it. So we bought that deal for 34 million. And then our sponsor actually had about another 1,200 units in the market.
Oh,
And so we had a group come in that came in and wanted to buy that 419 unit deal as well as their other 1,200 units in the market. And so we said, we're not really interested, but you're welcome to make us an offer and we'll see if we can work with you on it. And they ended up offering us a little over 46 million on that deal. And we had held that deal for about 6 months and we just had that offer for 46 million. And we were like, yeah,
what?
it's a good time to sell. So
Wow, man, the IRR on that is through the freaking roof.
yeah, it was crazy returns. So I don't even remember what they were. I'd have to look back on our notes, but they were, 34 million to 46 million in 6 months is like unheard of. So
I would take that. Is that the deal that was with MFCP and the parishes, right? Where they sold
yep.
the whole portfolio for like $100 million?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was a part of that one. Yeah, so a lot of those deals
Yeah.
were down in Columbia, South Carolina, is where they had them. So,
No, man. And the parishes were the lead sponsors on that one, right?
I think MFCP and GLP, so Tyler and Ryan, and then Greg and Lisa, I think they kind of co took the lead on that. I think it was kind of 50-50 on that one. So
Man, it's hard to like imagine selling for $100 million. I remember seeing Tyler talking about it and being like, man, yeah, that's coming. That's definitely in my
yeah,
future.
it was pretty crazy to we weren't a part of the whole sale, but we were a part of a sliver of it, and yeah, it was crazy. So
Yeah. Did you treat
but
yourself to anything when that check cleared?
yeah, it's a good question. I'd like to say I did, but dude, I really didn't. I really put it just right back into the business and kind of tried to keep things snowballing. So,
Oh yeah, bro.
but yeah, not
Res-
yet.
It's responsible of you.
Yeah, yeah, try to be for sure. Trying to.
All right, so you got South Carolina, you got Dallas, and now
Mhm.
Tucson. So how are you identifying which markets to invest in?
Yeah, it's a good question. So there's a few different metrics we look at. The two top being, job creation, job growth, and then, population growth. So DFW, a lot of people know just Texas in general. There's a ton of, influx of people coming from all of the coasts.
Hmm.
Um, DFW's exploded in the last few years, as I'm sure you know, but so DFW is a big one. They have huge job growth, huge influx of people. Tucson is the same way. Um, Phoenix has blown up, and with Phoenix getting as big as it is, there's a lot of people that want, I guess a smaller type city. I mean, Tucson's still, a bigger city, but it's a little bit slower paced than a Phoenix. Um, and so we like Tucson as well. But yeah, those are the two biggest things: job growth and population growth. So.
Job growth, and is there like a baseline metric that you want to see? Like, I don't know how job growth is measured, but
Yeah.
is there a baseline that you want to see that at?
Yeah, good question. So we want to see a minimum of like 1% annually for the last like 3 years. So
3 years
we use a
consecutively.
website called, I believe it's bls.gov, and they track all of the deal, or not deal, they track all of the job growth and kind of all the different sectors. It's all government based, so it's off of the census, and then they do things in between the censuses as well to kind of track that. But when you're on there, you're looking at all the total non-farm jobs, which is basically no government. So all of that job growth is outside of the government, and we want to see at least 1% annually for the last 3 years. So,
I just wrote that down because I did not even know about that. BLS.gov. That's super helpful. And then so all right, so we're looking at job growth and then we're looking at the population growth. Is there
mhm.
a minimum there that you're looking for?
Yeah, about the same on that. We'll go as low as like 0.75% increase a year, but we're really wanting to see at least 1% annually for the last 3 years. Um, that's kind of the baseline is 1% on each of them. So
Yeah. Very interesting. I know Dallas has to be more than that. The way traffic is these days, holy, like I freaking hate leaving. If I need to go like 15 miles, it's going to take me an hour and a half. I don't ever leave my
yeah,
house anymore. It's crazy. It is
yeah.
crazy.
Every time I go
Um,
down there, it's insane. So yeah, Dallas. I
it's,
think the last time I looked, it would have had to have been around like the last like 2 to 3 years. It's probably been high single digits, maybe even into double digits. But their average for like the past 5 to 7 years has been between like 3 and probably 12%. So
they're saying that Dallas might be the biggest city in the country in 10 years
yeah.
if they legalize gambling. I don't know if you heard, but the Mavericks sold to a casino group. And I
Oh
think
really?
either the same casino group or another casino group just bought a bunch of land in Irving. So there's something going on
Interesting.
behind closed doors.
Hmm.
And they're saying, if American Airlines is turned into a freaking casino,
Yeah.
which there's already talks of it happening, it's whew, Dallas
That's
is going to
crazy.
get crazy.
I had not heard that they're looking to do stuff with gambling. That's very interesting.
Yeah, look, I
They
mean,
should
Irving. I
yeah.
think where the old Cowboy Stadium used to be, there's a bunch of right there. So
Hmm.
they're, yeah, Casino Group locked it up. So I'm waiting. I think it would be cool. Um, I mean, it'd be great for me. Shit, I have a house here. So I'd love to see that continue to appreciate. Real quick, guys, if you're enjoying the show and want to help us grow, share, shoot us a 5-star rating, and follow the show on Apple or Spotify. My goal is to continue to grow and get bigger and bigger guests on the show to reach more like-minded real estate investors and help everyone be more bold and build more wealth. Now, back to the show. But it's crazy though, right? Like imagine Dallas with casinos. I mean, we're already getting up in Frisco,
Yeah.
the Disney park. This is going to be a whole destination.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy, dude. They'll have to since they're redoing Fair Park, they should throw a casino or something in there.
yeah, I don't think that would. I don't think that would sell. I don't think we'd be able to pass that. But even
Oh
that, bro,
man.
they have like shoot 300, $400 million to redo that whole park. They haven't
Yeah,
started.
that new tax they put in place is gonna, I mean, hopefully revitalize everything down there. So
Yeah, shoot me. I hope so. I live about 2 miles away from Fair Park, so about 2 miles away from your building out here,
yeah.
and we could use it. We could use it. How are you still guys? Are you still sourcing deals in Dallas? Have you guys been finding anything good?
Yeah, we've definitely been sourcing deals. Quality of deals, I would say like the last like 4 to 6 months has been kind of scrappy, I'd say.
Mm,
There's a lot of deals that are on market. We'll still look at on market deals, but they're not the best. There's been a big disconnect between sellers and buyers like us. Um, and they're just not coming to terms with where the market is sitting right now. And so they're still wanting, top dollar with, where pricing was, in 2021 or 22, and it just wasn't good. So yeah,
yeah,
quality of deals has gone down for sure, but we've still been doing a lot of volume on underwriting. So
yeah, yeah. I've been noticing the same thing. I mean, there's just a disconnect, the gap. I don't know how we
for sure.
close that gap, but I are you thinking that there's going to be a lot of defaults here in Dallas?
Yeah, I mean, so we use Yardi Matrix, and so they track most of the deals in the DFW Metroplex. So, they give us, insight into the rents and kind of what they're doing, if they're trending up, trending down. They go into little submarkets of Dallas as well. But we also have access to all their loan data on Yardi Matrix. And so we're able to track and get really specific on seeing what deals are performing, what ones aren't. Um, so I think so. All the data we've seen, we'll hop on there and we can search by like what the DSCR coverage is.
Hmm.
And last time I checked, I think there was like 24 deals that had a DSCR of under like zero point 0.7. Just
20 what? Really?
yeah, like 24. So it came out to, I think it was like 2 or 3 thousand units in Dallas that had DSCRs that low. Um, and so I think there is, I think right now is a time where you're really going to see the separation between, good operators and bad operators. And, if people can't even cover the mortgage on the property, that's going to start separating people pretty quick because they can only, infuse that with other capital, for so long. So DFW specifically, yeah, I think we'll start seeing some defaults. But I also think we'll just see people that, aren't making a lot of money on their deals and they just want to offload those too. So
Yeah.
I
How
think
do
we'll
you
see kind of more of the latter versus an actual default. But we'll see.
how do you position yourself to be the one that takes these deals off their hands, right? Are you building broker relationships or are you going direct to these groups that may be struggling right now?
Yeah, good question. A little bit of both. Most of our deal flow is going to come through a broker regardless. Um, but, with Yardi Matrix, we get, direct access to the owners and their information. And so we also, cold call on these properties and just try and talk directly to the groups and kind of cut the middleman out. Um, so a little bit of both. If we can pick up deals through, directly through the owner, then that's beneficial for both of us because we
Yeah.
both make more money in the long term. So
Right, right, right. So it's an interesting time. I'm personally positioning or working to position myself to take some of the deals, which is why I started a podcast. Welcome to the
Yeah,
show.
I love it, dude. I love it.
um,
Yeah.
so last time I was at your apartment here in Dallas, you were setting up an Airbnb, and I'm so
hmm
curious, bro. How did that go? How is that working out?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it's been a ride with Airbnb. So we it took us probably a month or two to get that built out. So we kind of took some dead space we had. Um, there was a conference room, and then there was like a party kitchen, if you will, for like the clubhouse.
Hmm.
But no one ever rented it. No one ever used it. And the more we looked at it, we were like, we could probably make this into an Airbnb or even just another unit. Um, the only thing it was missing was a bathroom. So we had to put in a shower and a toilet in there. And then we were pretty much ready to roll. We, furnished it, put it on the market. It was right around, I think we came live with it in like September, maybe early October, right when Fair Park was doing, they have that big event. I think it was all the way through October. Um, and so we had a few bookings there, it went well. Um, but then Dallas hit us with, they actually shut it down. Um,
What?
so Dallas had, and I don't know all the details. I honestly haven't looked into it a ton, but they pretty much shut down Airbnbs in DFW. So we got a letter in the mail saying that we basically have to shut down, or we have to convert it into like more like longer term, um, like
I would
tenants.
look into that, bro, because that I think that was specifically for Airbnbs in single family neighborhoods. And since you are
Mm,
zoned for multifamily,
yeah,
um, I don't think it applies to you guys.
interesting. I'll have to look into it because all I know is we got a letter and we just said, well, to hell with it. We're gonna shut it down, and so we've been
Yeah.
trying to rent it as an actual unit. It's kind of an awkward space, and so it's not like super attractive to people.
Right.
Um,
Like no
so we've
windows.
Yeah, there's no windows in it, which we've toyed. The only issue is it's like if we put in a window out of a back wall, it goes into like the parking area, which
Hmm.
is also covered, so it's dark. And then if we put a window on the other side, it is into like the clubhouse because
Which
it's
is
like on the,
awkward.
yeah, it's just like an awkward space. So we've toyed with maybe putting some just for light, like up at the tops of the room. Because it's like the wall, and then there's a tiny hallway that's full of windows to the outside.
Hmm.
So we're
Hmm.
like so close to like natural light, but if we put windows at like the tops of the ceiling, like the little skinny ones, we could just get natural light coming in from up top. But I don't know. We're toying around with what to do with this space, but all in all, it was going well, and then it kind of went to shit. So
No, man, you gotta look into that because I think they
I
probably
definitely
just sent it
will.
to everybody, because they
That's
can't read.
probably true.
Yeah. Because I was talking to my buddy. He's a
I
townhome that
definitely,
he still lives in, and I was like, "Oh man, that sucks," because his townhome is right on Greenville, where all the bars are.
yeah.
And I was like, "Man, that would be like a perfect Airbnb." It sucks that Dallas is shutting them down. And he's like, "No, I'm still good because my lot is zoned multifamily, and it only applies to the single family. You know those
Ooh,
signs where they're like
yeah,
homes, not hotels.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that
yeah.
doesn't apply to apartment complexes."
It's a good point, dude. I definitely need to look into it. I just put a note down. I'm gonna look into the details on that because if we could
Yeah,
go
man.
back to an Airbnb, that would be so much easier.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And it's so true, man. You're those big old windows are like 10 feet away from the wall.
yeah, like it's such an
So,
awkward space that like yeah, it's just I don't know. It's been a headache for sure.
how has it been outside of the Airbnb, right? Like your business plan that you guys set forth, how has it been implementing that on that asset?
Yeah, business plan has gone well. So it's been, from the start of the plan was to be a light value add play. It's built in 2016, so it's pretty new and not a lot of renovations needed to be done from the start. And so the biggest thing was the management side of things. So the group we bought it from, they're actually more like land owners. And so they buy like vacant land and basically try and flip it.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so they bought this property, they bought a warehouse and then a piece of land. They had to buy it in a portfolio. And so they decided they wanted to just buy it and see how they did running it. And they basically tanked the whole thing. So we inherited, really bad tenants, not paying. We actually just got out the last tenant since takeover. We were fighting the courts with them on it. Um, but yeah, so we inherited, bad management, bad tenants. So we just kind of inherited a mess. And so we brought in a new management company that, really started, going through all the tenants, weeding out the good from the bad that way. And then we did a few cosmetic upgrades on the interiors. We kind of redid the clubhouse area to be more, user friendly there. We
Yeah.
put in a new little leasing office. There was no leasing office for when our staff was there. Um, and then we did each level looked about the same when you'd get off the elevator. So we did like a sports theme. So we did each one of the Dallas sports teams. We put that on like the wall outside the elevator.
Oh
So
yeah, I
when you come
remember
up to
that.
each level, you get to see, like, oh, I'm on, the Ranger floor, I'm on the Maverick floor, or whatever. So we just
Those
did
are
some
those are
stuff like
sick.
that. Yeah,
Those are sick, man. Like,
I think it was our property manager that had the idea, but yeah, it was a good play for sure.
how much does it
Um,
cost to do a mural like that? I mean, it must have been like 30 feet by 10 feet.
mhm. Yeah, it actually wasn't bad. So we just did a solid color. And I think what we ended up doing, I think we actually bought like a huge like vinyl kit, like for
Oh,
that team. So we just put up like a bunch of vinyls, of like players and logos and stuff like that. So it actually was pretty dang cheap.
that's sick, bro. I like that a lot.
So yeah, so
So, well,
just some stuff like that, just to make residents feel like they live in a home versus an empty box. So
right, right. So outside of like having bad tenants, right? Was there any other issues that you guys faced, and how did you address them? How did you pivot out of those?
yeah, biggest thing outside of that, um, we had shortly after we bought it, we had that first Texas freeze where we had some pipes burst on
Mm,
us. Um, at that same time, there's an elevator on the property. We had some issues with that around the same time, and then the gate outside. That storm kind of just like jacked all the systems in
everything.
the building.
Yeah.
Um, so, I don't know if you know anything about elevators or like powered electric gates, but they're very expensive. And we only had a very limited amount of capital in reserves to basically address that stuff. It was kind of outside of our, I guess, original business plan. We had a little bit for the elevator and MISC stuff, but the elevator ended up eating, I think it ended up being like 30 or 40 grand of our budget, which was
Ooh.
not in the plans at all. So yeah, one, just on a side out, just try and buy properties without elevators because they suck.
Yeah.
Or I guess the better thing to say is make sure it's a good quality elevator because this one was bad.
Yeah, I
But
don't know who told me, but like elevator technicians make like multiple hundreds of dollars per hour, right?
I'm not surprised with the bills we got. It was insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, so we had, some structural, not structural, but, just like the workings of the building that kind of went, bad. And so we had to, sit down as a general partnership team and decide, are we wanting to do these more cosmetic, things that aren't really going to drive revenue on the property, just build a better culture? Or are we going to make sure that, their basic things are in place, like an elevator, the powered gate, things like that? Obviously, the answer with where we went, we've got to make sure that their simple, expectations are met. So we had to kind of redesign the business plan that way and funnel funds that way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, that place is like so perfectly located, right? Like it's on the cusp of a CD neighborhood, but
Mhm.
it's coming so quickly. I mean,
Oh,
literally
so fast.
those lots right next to you, they're building on them right now.
Yeah.
We got confirmation a couple months ago of another luxury apartment south of 30, maybe half a mile from yours,
Oh,
that's
no way.
going up pretty soon. Yeah, I'll have to. I see this stuff and I'm like, oh, I should send this to. to Alec, but I'm like, oh, he knows, he definitely knows. So
I
I guess
tried to stay up with it, but man, dude, DFW is so big that like I've got on some news channels and dude, there's just so much going on there. So I miss a lot of
it
stuff
is,
too.
it is. Our highways
So
are always they're packed and they're always under construction, like never ending construction, bro. It's crazy. Welcome to
yeah, no
Dallas.
kidding. Yeah, when
Stop
we did
coming.
last time I was down there, we did that. You kind of gave me a little tour around, and God,
That's
there
right, I
was
did.
so much construction down there. It's crazy.
Oh, everywhere, everywhere, which is good, but man, in like 5 years it'll be great. Right now it just sucks. My car is always dirty.
Yeah. Oh, I
So,
bet. I bet. No, same thing. We've got so much construction around our house where there's a big development going in, and dude, the mud and like
damn.
dust when it's not raining or snowing, it's insane.
Yeah. What does a day in the life
So,
look like for you? How are you managing your time?
yeah, it's a good question. So, I'm an early riser for sure. So, I'm up at 4 in the morning. Um, I hit gym first thing, try and get the, quote unquote, hardest thing of the day right out of the way. Um, so, I wake up, gym. I come home, I do, a little bit of reading, studying that way. Um, and then, I do a little bit of journaling. Journaling is very light. It's more of, writing out, 5, target tasks that I need to get done that day. And then I pretty much head into the office after. So, um, yeah, I'm in office, by 7:38, and then I'm here until 5 or 6 working on stuff.
Yeah, that's dope,
So,
man. What type of tasks are you writing in your journal? Because I struggle with journaling, bro. It's not
yeah.
easy for me.
Yeah, I've been playing around. I've gone through a bunch of different journals. I started with, I think it's the Best Self Company. I started with their journal. Um, I've used the Multifamily Mindsets journal. They've had a great journal. And then I just came on to, it's called The Power List by Andy Frisella. It's very simple. And so
Powerless.
it's basically just 5 tasks, if you can see this. 5 tasks you write down and you basically hit the day running. So, um, like for instance, today, um, I got to make 2 social media posts about our current deal. I've got to reach out to the investors that are currently looking at the deal, which is about 15 people. Um, I've got to send 50 messages on LinkedIn, and then I've got to send out our monthly update on our Dallas deal. So it's things like that where it's just like, more like high level tasks. A lot of things fall under those, but it's just high level. I need to get these 5 things done in order to kind of push that needle forward. So,
Yeah. Um, oh, you got 15 people interested in your Tucson deal. How did you find these guys or gals, guys and gals, I'm sure?
yeah, for sure. So, a little bit of repeat investors. So, the investors in our Dallas deal, we've got a few of those guys that are interested. So, I've been kind of following up with them, making sure that they have access through our investor portal. And then, outside of that, I've got a decent amount of people I know just personally from before the business that have a decent amount of capital. So I've been just reaching out to them and trying to get in new investors as well. They've been seeing us do this for a little over 3 years now, and
Right.
a lot of them are kind of coming around that like, these aren't just a one and done group, that they're actually, doing this full time and will be for, the foreseeable future. And so we're able to, kind of convert them that way. But yeah,
Yeah.
basically our personal network is where we're pulling investors right now.
Sweet, bro. Whoa. High level.
So
Tell me about the deal.
yeah, so we're working with a great partner of ours. So his name's Danny Flores. He actually recently just moved down to Orange County, California. But he has mainly done all of his deals in the Arizona markets. So
Okay.
they've bought, I think it's like 34 acquisitions.
Wow.
I think like 20 something of those are in Arizona between Phoenix and Tucson. Um, this deal specifically, it's a little 38 unit deal. We're buying it for just over 6 million. Um, and then we've got kind of a cool structure as far as, returns to investors. We've got 5 different return uh, options for them basically. So it's all I guess really, investment based on, how much capital they want to put in. So our very minimum is 50,000 and we have up to 1.5 million on what they can put in. So, different return structures on each level, but yeah, between 50 and 1.5 is kind of what our minimums are there.
Man, how do you underwrite with like 5 different like classes? it's, it
It's
seems like
insane. Yeah, it's insane. So we've got, I mean, between Danny's team and our team, the number gurus, they're the ones that figured all that stuff out. That's not my strong suit as the numbers, but more the vision on where we want the deal to go, um,
yeah.
and stuff that way. But it's a hefty underwriting for sure.
I love it though, man. You're killing it, bro. You got all these people interested in deals. Like you're doing the damn thing. So congratulations on that.
No, I
You did.
appreciate that, dude.
Oh yeah, bro. I love it. I love it. I wish I was as smart as you when I was 24. Shit, man. I might I might have a bigger house or something. I don't know.
Oh shit. No, I love it. Yeah, well, we're definitely we're trying. So we're getting some traction, and we're trying to keep that ball rolling. So
Yeah, I'm curious. So you also said 50 messages on LinkedIn. Are you just like
mhm.
sliding into people's DMs and saying, "Hey, I got this deal. You interested?" Or is there more to it than that?
Yeah, good question. So I mean, we have done that. The conversion on that is extremely low.
Yeah,
Um, you know, Going from a cold lead to someone wiring, you 50 plus $1,000 is pretty low. Because the trust and knowledge of who you are is not there with them yet. So
right,
we kind of have to
right.
take a longer term approach of that, and that has come with experimenting and learning. Because in the beginning, that's what I did. I was sending just cold messages, saying, "Hey, got a deal. Do you want to invest in it?" Basically, something along those lines. Um, and it just didn't go well. So you have to take a more longer term approach, on social media that way, where you have to actually build a relationship with them, which isn't anything crazy. Just shooting back and forth. If you see them post something about their job or something, reach out, ask about it, just get engaged in what they have going on, and eventually they'll start asking you questions back on what you're doing, and then it just kind of leads into well, I've got 50 grand in an IRA that I could put in, and so
Yeah,
it's a long term approach, but you have to constantly be working on that in order to when you have a deal ready, getting people to invest. So
right.
uh,
Brady Barker was on a few episodes ago, and he leverages LinkedIn a lot as
yeah,
well. And I told him like, dude, I'm afraid to use LinkedIn. I don't know what it is, but um, it's just hard for me. And
yeah,
I have a day job, right? Like I'm a user experience designer by day, so my
yeah,
network is all like fairly high paid tech professionals. So
yeah,
eventually I'll get to the point where I'm like ready to start tapping into that. But to be real,
yeah,
I'm just not there yet. I'm focusing on Instagram and Instagram alone. To be
yeah.
honest, when you texted me, um, I went live on Instagram for the first time. I've never done that before.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, man. Like just like slowly putting myself more and more out there. So that's eventually I'll be as brave as you and post. I,
Oh,
it's,
dude,
it's
I love it.
it's also hard because I see Brady post and he has like these super like dope like captions and they're so well
Yeah.
thought out and they're just like written beautifully. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
what's up, guys? Real estate is good. Know what I mean? Like
No, dude, I feel that 100%. Dude, it takes work to put out, content that isn't just fluffy garbage. Because I mean, there's
right,
people that put out consistent content, but like, it's not good. There's no meat in it.
right, right.
But yeah, dude, Brady, their whole team at Black Cedars is doing great. Him and Brady, Hunter, and Zach, they're all crushing social right now. So I actually just
You're
was at lunch with Hunter. So
I was gonna say, yeah, you guys are all up in Utah, so
these
man,
are yeah, I
I'm gonna
was
have to
at
come check you guys out one day.
yeah, dude, for sure, it'd be fun.
Okay, so you've been in the business for a while. You've also been in the network for a while,
Hmm.
and I want to put you on the spot here. So I
Okay.
see a lot of people who come and go from the network. And I see a lot of people asking for advice in the network, whether it's solicited or not, right? They're still asking for advice.
Yeah.
What advice do you want to give people, but you don't because it might come off as harsh? Like, what are these truths that these people need to hear, but people just don't say them because everybody's so nice.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of niceness that goes around that I think is, again, just some fluffy garbage that doesn't really help people.
Right.
Um, I would say, there's two main things that I see that, new students in the network struggle with, or even people that have been in it for a long time. And the first one is being, actually going through the actual trainings that Multifamily Mindset provides, and not skipping, from step one to step seven. People come out of the workshops and they're wanting to go source their deal and to get right into it, but there's a lot of steps in between that they skip. Um, and it doesn't work that way.
Right.
You've got to go from step one to step two and, all the way up to step seven. And a lot of people don't do that, which is crazy to me, but people don't do it. So I would say, number one, they need to follow the program that's set out. It's a proven program that, tons of people have gone and done deals. I've done it. You've done it. Their company's very successful, historically doing it. So that would be the first thing. The second thing that I've seen, um, it's kind of twofold, but putting in the time and then like putting in that time consistently for as long as that may take. It took us, I believe it was our first deal was technically 7 months. So we raised capital on a deal. But I don't like to consider that our first deal because I didn't find the deal. So it took us about a year and a half to get our real first deal, if you will, which was that Dallas deal. So where I
Hmm.
actually found it, we raised the capital on it, brought in a sponsor, stuff that way. And dude, like pushing on for a year and a half with no results is extremely difficult. It's extremely deflating every single day. Um, but like once I closed that deal, it was 100% worth, all of that year and a half of headache. So,
Right.
I don't think people realize how much time it's going to take, and I don't think they realize how long they're going to have to push. Some people come in, they do a deal within 2 months. Some people are still waiting to do a deal that have been in it for over 2 years. Um, but a lot of people give up around that 6 to 8 month, even maybe a year range, and like they're just so close to being able to get something done, and they just decide they want to move on to something else. Um,
Yeah.
and then
So
all that, it's just crazy.
it's so unfortunate. These courses are not cheap, and
No.
you know, I mean, to walk away after 6 months. I think when I went on the podcast with Tyler, he told me that it was like 4% of people who buy in actually finish the course.
Yeah.
4%,
Isn't
which
that
just
insane?
that blew my mind. I mean, honestly, when I got in, I was so like ready to go. I went through the whole freaking thing in a week,
Yeah.
a weekend, right? Like just watched all of them, then went back and started taking action,
Yeah.
right? Like
I
I
love it,
actually
dude.
I just bought another course. I joined. Do you know Vina Jetty?
I've heard the name. Yeah.
She's a boss. She's a straight up boss. She has $1 billion in transactions, and
Dang.
she's located here in Dallas. I think on
Okay.
her
Okay.
last raise, she her group raised like $50 million. 50 million. Think about that. They raised $50 million to buy an apartment complex. So I was like, man,
Jeez.
I'm sure there's some good stuff in there. So,
You'd think
so
so for sure.
yeah. So I bought hers, and I literally just finished going through her course as well. So it's a lot of good stuff. But now I'm going to do the same thing. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to listen
Yeah.
to everything again, and I'm going to start taking action on the things that you know I'm missing now. Right.
Dude, that's awesome.
But
How is that course been? What is she what are you going through on that course? What does it entail?
she gets a lot more granular on the actual business aspect of the
Hmm.
multifamily space, which I
Okay.
appreciate. Tyler's course was great, but I think they're a little bit light on that part.
Hmm.
So, the asset management, the financing, the SEC attorney, she goes in crazy detail on
For
SEC
sure.
stuff, like raising capital the right way. And there's some things that it's missing, right? But
For sure.
they're still filming. So, in that aspect, I I'm thankful because I'm going to be able to say, hey, look, this is what I want to know. And
Yeah.
likely I'll be able to get a response on how to move. So yeah, bro,
Yeah.
I'll have to offline. I'll tell you more about it. Cause it's been, I'm
Hey,
pretty happy with the purchase, to be
yeah,
honest.
dude, I'd love to hear more for sure.
Yeah, man. So, what does it take to be successful in this business? Like,
Yeah, it's a good question. Um, if I could
like,
narrow it down to like one thing, I would just say you have to embody being in this business. I don't think you can really approach this business as a side hustle. There's just too many moving parts to do that.
it's very true.
Um, so, I would say you have to embody it as a person. You have to talk about it everywhere you go. On your online presence has to be talking about multifamily. Um, just everything you do, it needs to be in the front of your mind. Um, because that's what it takes. Raising capital is hard. Finding, 100 plus unit properties is hard. Um, and the only way you can do that is if people know that you're working in that space, or else you'll get no traction. So, um, you know, having persistence and then just embodying, being in the business. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's true. And I'm working on that myself, right? I think there's also a good mix of the multifamily stuff and then just like the growth, the mindset, and letting people see into
mm,
your life, right? So yes, Trey is about multifamily, or yes, Alec is about multifamily, but Alec
mhm,
also loves to go hunting, and I can relate to that.
for sure.
And I hate that, bro. I am not a social media fan. Like I do not like sharing my life. Like I
Dude,
want to
I'm
keep my
really not
kids.
either. I
Yeah,
hate
it's
it.
so hard.
I
It's
actually
so
hate
hard.
it.
It's so hard. But you have to
So,
do it, right? Like people have to
yep.
know, like, and trust you. And I think it's like know, like, and trust is great. But if you can have any two of those things, you're doing phenomenal. You
No,
know?
I 100% agree with that for sure. Well, and it's cool too because, everybody that gets into the space has a different background.
Right,
I'm a big
right.
hunter. I don't know what Trey does in his free time, but dude, you will pull from another network of people.
Right.
There's hunters that have a ton of money that want to hunt more. And so I've been able to pull, capital from them. And, I tailor it like, dude, if you are investing money into this is going to give you a passive return where you can go spend more time on the mountain. Um,
Right.
and that's why I love it is, everybody that gets in has a different background, a different perspective, but I believe everybody is able to pull something from their background and put it into this business.
Yeah.
I think, raising capital is the biggest thing, but dude, any network someone is in, there's someone with capital in that network. Um, and so when you partner up with, like you or, like the parishes, everybody has that different background, but we're able to bring everybody together to do a big multifamily deal, which I just love about this business.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so true. And everybody has problems, like different problems or goals that we can provide solutions for, right? And that's how we have to look at it.
100%,
Um,
dude. Mhm.
when is the Tucson deal closing? And yeah, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so deadline to invest in that deal is end of February. So we are going to be using a couple extensions on that deal, and so we have till end of February to raise on that. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, so end of February is when that deal closes. We have a lot of traction, but we were brought into this deal a little bit later than expected, and so we're kind of picking up some pieces that way. But yeah, we've got a lot of people interested in it, and so I don't think it's going to take till end of February, but that's our deadline. So where people can find me, I'm most active on Instagram and LinkedIn. Alec underscore Beard7 is Instagram. And then I believe it's just Alec dot Beardall on LinkedIn or just Alec Beardall. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Cool. Yeah, I'll drop all those links in the description below. any parting words for the listeners?
Um, yeah, nothing crazy. I mean, just keep going, guys. Keep pushing on whatever you're working on. And make sure you shout out Trey and follow all his stuff, dude. He's a stud.
Can I get an all right, all right, all right?
All right, all right, all right.
All right,
Yeah,
man. Cool. Well,
I
cool,
love it,
guys.
dude.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I am Trey Jacobs. This is Alec Beardall. We'll see you next time. Peace.